own country by a different road. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Seated. Well, first of all, I should say howdy. It's great to be here. I'm Father Rob, the new dean of the cathedral. It's great to be with you, and I look forward to getting to know all of you in due course as the seasons unfold before us. But this Sunday does not celebrate the occasion of my arrival, but it's not about Rob Price. The occasion that we celebrate is the Feast of the Epiphany itself. Now, the Feast of the Epiphany, as we tend to think of it and celebrate it and pray through it, is shaped by creche scenes, right, and popular devotion. It traditionally focuses on the moment the wise men arrive at the manger. And it's a very static picture often, because in creche scenes, they're all, that's the Feast of the Epiphany. It's very static. And we remember the royal gifts they give to Jesus: gold, frankincense, and myrrh, given in a very orderly, beautiful way. But what if the focus of our spiritual imaginations should be on what came before and after the scenes we depict in our creches? And what if our spiritual imaginations should be dwelling on the gifts that they give, not as things that they gave, but rather as things they had to give up? More on that anon. Now, you don't know me well yet, but as soon as you do, you'll find out that one of my passions is the scouting movement. And one of the things that I most love to do in scouting is teach orienteering. You know, the use of maps and compasses. For those of you with military backgrounds, land map. Okay? And I love to teach this skill to boys, which means that I spend a lot of my time being lost in the woods. Or rather, walking behind boys, about to be lost in the woods. My last backpacking camp out, we got all the boys squared away. They had their backpacks on. We're ready to make this hike. And, I said to the crew leader, okay, have you appointed your navigator? Yes. Okay, got your maps? Yes. Compasses? Yes. Yes, sir. I'm like, okay, well, this show, you run the show. I'm the caboose of this train, son, so lay on. And I said to the other adult who was with me, I said, just watch. They're going to make the wrong turn right out of the campsite. So, we wait there, and they start trucking off, and they get to the main road, and sure enough, they go the opposite direction away from the trailhead. And they just start trailing off, not even think about it. Off they go. And so I just stay right at the junction, and I stand there, and I let them walk about 50 yards or so. And then I finally say, boys, Mr. Price, right? I'm like, come here. So I bring them back around. I said, okay, on me, guys. Circle around. And I engage in the catechetical liturgy of orienteering, something that all of these boys, when I take them to Philmont, will learn to hate, I'm sure. There are 4 questions in this catechism. Where is north? Do you have a compass? Yes, sir. It helps if it's out of your pockets. Okay, so we're going to get our compass. We got the compass out. So where is north? We've established where north is. Where is north on the map? Do you know where north is? It helped to have the map out. Let's get your maps out. Okay, let's get the maps out. So we got north on the map. We got north on the compass. Let's line those up. Where are you on the map? Everybody put a finger where you think we are on the map. Right, so we finally establish our location. Okay, now you are ready, men, to answer the final question: what is our direction of travel? Right? In other words, which way do we go from here? Now, orienteering is an anachronism, and it's a misnomer, isn't it? Orienteering. We 3 kings of Orient are they from the north? No, they're from the east. Orienteering is a very old word from the time in which you established your directions by virtue of knowing where the sun was going to come up from the sunrise. The east, orienteering, meant you knew the direction of dawn. And in the ancient world, east, dawn, was the direction of fortune, of good stuff, of new life. In the world of Second Temple Judaism, it was the direction that the Messiah was going to come from. Every morning, the priests of the temple would look east to the Mount of Olives where the sun would come up, waiting to see, is this the morning? Is this the dawn on which the Messiah will come? East was the direction of God and his future. West was not, like we Americans like to think, the land of opportunity. Right? West was not a good direction of opportunity and commerce. West was where the sun went down. It was the direction of darkness, of death, of evil. That was west. So, we meet these wise men, and the thing about the wise men is they're lost and they don't even know it. They're busy going about their daily lives. They're very important people, magi, some kings in some traditions, going about their lives, thinking that what they were doing was the most important thing that they could be doing, much like most of us, Monday through, well, Sunday, really. That whatever it is we're doing, right? Especially the folks who are not in with us now, who are reading the paper or having coffee or eggs, one of these wonderful places I'm learning about. But whatever it is you're doing, that's the most important thing you could be doing. And they didn't even know they were lost. Looking up at the stars for direction in their life, for a compass that would never show them home. But this is the first and great mercy of the Feast of Epiphany. What sign does God give to stargazers? A star. In a sense, the very thing they're wasting their time doing, that's precisely where God breaks through to them. In the place of their brokenness, in the place of their distraction, in the place of their falsehoods, there the light shines. They are given a star, something that they could see. The star for these wise men was kind of like me in the back of that line of boys standing at the junction to the trail saying, boys, yoo-hoo, this way. A star arose in the east. Now, it arises in the east. Geography. They're in Babylon. If you have to kind of go back a little bit. But they're in Babylon, and they're heading towards Judea. Which direction do they go? West. Right? They start precisely the opposite direction right out of their driveway. They're like these boys of mine, Right? The star rises in the east. A light dawns in the direction of goodness, of a future of God, and they go directly west. How often do we do that? How often do we go the exact opposite way where life is? We follow all those paths. And here is yet another grace of Epiphany for wanderers like us. That no matter how far you go in the wrong direction, no matter how dark the road you've taken into night, into the west, Jesus can find you there. Jesus can find you down that western road that you've wandered onto, that wrong turn that you took right out of your driveway. Jesus can find you there, and he'll even let you think that you found him. So kind already. Mercies abounding already. Now, you know you've gone the wrong direction when you're asking Herod for directions. That's a bad scene already. We thought we were going the right direction, but if you're asking direction from someone like Herod, you know you're in a really bad place. You're in a world of hurt. But there is yet grace. There is grace even here. Because even in Jerusalem, and this is not the Jerusalem of this episode in the Bible is not a heavenly Jerusalem. It's not a holy city. The Jerusalem of Herod in this gospel imagination is old Jerusalem. Jerusalem condemned by the prophets. The Jerusalem of oppression, of sin, of injustice. And that is the Jerusalem in which these wise men find themselves. They find themselves in a city that should be glorious, that perhaps once was glorious, that will be made glorious again with the presence of God. But God had left the building in Ezekiel. And he hadn't been there for a very long time. And in the vacuum, willful and wicked men had come in to fill it. And to invest that city with their meanings, with their paradigms, with their values. But there's a grace, even in that old Jerusalem. Even in Herod's town, there is grace to be found. Because they find a map. They find a map. Even in that place, Herod doesn't know. He's clueless. He's absolutely clueless. He doesn't know where the King of the Jews is. I mean, he doesn't even have the gumption to say, "It's me, you found him." He can't even say that. Right? Does anybody know? It's like one of those stuff. Does anybody know where the map? There's a map. They go to the scriptures. They open the Bible, and the Bible tells them the way out of that city, out of that Jerusalem, to a different kind of place. In the scriptures, we have been left a map. If we would but read and follow it. It is a map that has been left to us by our fathers and mothers who have walked with God, walked to God, and yes, run away from God. And it's all mapped out there. That whole country is mapped for us. The Bible, as our map, shows the road to the kingdom of God and to the King of Kings, who reveals all the megalomaniacal Herods to be the pathetic parodies that they are. And it shows the splendid wisdoms and ideologies of our Jerusalems, our wicked cities, to be the utter foolishness in comparison to the love that is shown in small things, weak things, overlooked things, underdog things, humble things. Now, these wise men can follow a star. And just then, the star, they notice, oh, look! And they read the map. And they go to Bethlehem. And they find themselves in that small, overlooked, unimportant, underdog kind of place. And they open their treasure chests, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. You know, I went to Philmon about 1.5 years ago with the middle son of mine, and one of the kind of the ceremonies that you have on the last day of a 10-day trek, in which you've been carrying all your gear, including water. And by the way, if you don't know this, water's heavy. You may not know this. We're modern people. You open a tap and it comes out. But when you have to carry 5 liters of it, it's heavy. It's a burden. And so we've taught those boys because, you know, you're in the back country. There are no spigots back there. You run out of water, you're SOL. That means sorry, out of luck, right? You're SOL. So we teach them to hoard it, to conserve it, to steward it. Manage your water. Don't drop it on the ground. Manage your water. Hold on tight. And so one of the really cool things you do on the last day, and you know at base camp is like maybe 3 miles down the road, and there's some mileposts that kind of can tell you the base, base is right there. And so we take the packs off, and everybody, so 3 miles is about, maybe just over an hour walking. And so you're going to get there. You're almost home. You can almost see home. Your journey's almost at its end. And so we take out all our water, and we pour out all the Nalgene's and all the bladders, and we just pour the water on the ground to lighten our packs. Like, pour it out, boys, you're almost home. light those packs, and you put on your packs like, oh, man. And then those boys, they take off. They're like horses to a barn. I mean, they know that showers and hot food is coming their way, and and it takes a lot to make a 14-year-old look forward to a shower. And they start walking, right? They start walking. They pour out the water because they don't need it anymore. It's a burden. It's time to pour it out. You're at your destination. No reason to hang on to it. And so the wise men open their treasure chests, their packs, if you will, and they worship. Now, the word for worship means to be prostrated. It means hit the deck. They hit the deck. They place themselves on the ground at Jesus' feet. And, again, if you think of the creche scenes where they're like, that I imagine when they worship and they prostrate themselves, all that gold and frankincense and myrrh just comes tumbling out of their pockets as they throw themselves on the ground because they've reached their destination's end. It's like when I take off the pack at base, it's like you've made it and you just throw that pack off unceremoniously. They just let it all drop into the straw. You might lose a couple of gold coins in the straw, but they don't care because they don't need it anymore. They don't need it anymore. All those things which are the gifts of the Magi are things that they don't need anymore at Jesus' feet in the presence of the Lord of creation. They don't need their money anymore. They don't need to make sure that, I better hold on to this. At Jesus' presence, they can give it away. A virtue of generosity can arise in them, and they can just let it spill out. They don't need it anymore. They can throw their gold at Jesus' feet. They don't need the incense, the frankincense anymore. Now, I'm not saying it's not an editorial comment about incense at worship. It's rather, I want you to think about, were they lighting incense to Jesus in Babylon? No. Incense was the material of false worship where they came from. And they let that stuff go because you don't need your false gods anymore at the feet of Jesus. You can let it all go. Everything that we worship, everything that we think is valuable, political power, violence, money itself sometimes we worship. All the things that make us proud, it all can fall at the feet of Jesus. All those false gods around which we organize our loyalties, identities, and allegiances, it all must go. You don't need them anymore because you're at Jesus' feet. The myrrh, all the ways in which we try to cover up the smell of death that's on us. I wonder, that ointment may or may not have been for Jesus, but it certainly is for all of us. Because we have the smell of death on us. Because when we go forth in this place, we know that in our lives that there is pain there, there is suffering there, there is loss there, there is guilt there is brokenness there, there is loneliness there. And so we take the loneliness that we feel, and instead of being in godly community, we rub ourselves with a myrrh of unhealthy relationships to fill the void and make us not smell our own death on us. And we are afraid of dying, and so we rub on ourselves all the ways in which modern science can help us keep that at bay. All the myrrh in the world can be laid at Jesus' feet because you don't have to be afraid of death anymore. You don't have to be afraid of being lonely anymore. You don't have to be afraid of being sick anymore. Because at the feet of Jesus, he fills our death. He fills our night with light and life. Just put it at his feet. Just put your myrrh at Jesus' feet. Let it fall off of you. You don't need it anymore. Pour it out into the straw. Or it can be ground up by those oxen and donkeys. And what a grace it is from Jesus to take all that we no longer need, our will, our money, ways of avoiding death, our imaginations, and call it a gift. Jesus takes all that stuff from us, says, oh sure, let's call it a gift. Sure, we'll call it that. When you give your gold, your incense, your false gods, your myrrh, you try to cover up the death instead of receiving my life, yeah, you give that all to me and we'll call it a gift between you and me. A grace, a mercy. Then having met Jesus, having died to our old lives, which way do we go from here? It's the last question of the catechism. Which way do we go from here? East, of course, beloved, eastwards. I like to say I teach orienteering at Scouts, and I also teach orienteering at church. I teach people to face east and find their way out of the dark places into which they find themselves. East, and always by a different road, always by a different way, because rising from the ground of our worship, rising from our depths, we set out as new creations. New creations which will take a new road into the future that God has prepared for us. We can have the courage to try new things. Courage to be a different kind of person, to leave aside those old habits because we're being made new. And together, beloved, you and me, all of us, together, we are sent to our future transformed, unburdened, ready to do the work of making our own country, our own Babylons, into Bethlehems. Amen. Loving one another, let us with one heart confess the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.